Signalman inside, got it! Signalman nose down first.
VEKOMA is a colt with serious promise as he scores in the Nashua.
Hidden Scroll turning heads and impressing in victory. He's wrapped up. Hidden Scroll, wow.
Hidden Scroll puts away Global Campaign. Now he has to deal with VEKOMA on the inside, Code of Honor, and Code of Honor means business. He's into the clear and challenging the favorite as they turn for home. Less than a quarter of a mile to go in the Fountain of Youth. Hidden Scroll digs deep, but Code of Honor blows past.
When concluding what this Fountain of Youth really meant, Hidden Scroll got a lot of credit from a lot of the hardened journalists even for running way too fast in this race and still being able to finish reasonably well. I personally think that he's a horse that's a little bit on the outside looking in, but I do agree that if he can harness his speed and be rated and be able to run in a more reasonable fashion on the front end, he's got the speed to be able to get two turns and be very effective. Whether Bill Mott's going to send him on the Derby Trail, we'll see if he stays on it. With Global Campaign, he got knocked around there at the top of the stretch when he started decelerating, and Stanley Huff and the Connections decided to take him off the Derby Trail for now, but he still could pop up in the classic picture. I think this wasn't such a catastrophic event that this is going to completely debilitate or diminish his chances to compete in big races, so we'll see what happens with him. But when looking at the Fountain of Youth, breaking down the agronomics of it, the final quarter was not very, very good. 26.2 fifths, even though Code of Honor made a nice move to get the lead from a tiring Hidden Scroll. This 26 and 2 fifths is very similar to the breakdown when Much Better, his mechanics failed him and he tired out, and Gunmetal Gray was able to sweep past in the Sham. It looked visually eye-catching, but the time was really slow, and he was able to pick up the pieces for horses that were mechanically breaking down, Much Better being chief among them. This 26 and 2 fifths is almost identical to what happened there, a horse slowing down to a crawl on the front end in the stretch for any horse to be able to pass him, and this happened to be Code of Honor who got the last 16th in 7 seconds. So this by no means was, dazzling stuff or scintillating performances by any of these top four horses, but the performances were good enough to indicate that maybe there's going to be some forward progression, or the worst case is that they can't get any better. Code of Honor gets a 95 Beyer speed figure, a 118 U.S. time form rating. Bourbon War and finishing second, 3/4 back, 93 Beyer, 115 U.S. time form. And then Hidden Scroll in fourth got the highest U.S. time form at 120, even though he only ran an 89 Beyer and he finished fourth. So that's very interesting. And Global Campaign got an 85 and a 115, but he's off the trail now, so those numbers are a little irrelevant until he competes, until he comes back to compete in his next race, and then we'll look at those numbers more closely. But again, all these horses have their options. It looks like Code of Honor is going to run in the Florida Derby, and Bourbon War is likely to come back, but of course he's had experience at Aqueduct. The Wood Memorial could be an option. Of course, there's the Bluegrass, and the following week after those April 6th preps, you have on April 13th the Arkansas Derby. But meantime, Code of Honor redeems himself at 9-1 off the poor effort in the Mucho Macho Man. He had a number of works over the deep pace and park surface to prep him, to get him a little sharper for this race, and it showed. But whether he's top tier Derby material, I think a lot of us will find out a little bit more going into the Florida Derby if he returns there, and for that matter, all these horses and what their next preps will be on the road to the Roses. But the 2019 Fountain of Youth goes to Code of Honor, trained by Shug McGahee, Johnny Velasquez, and the Irons. He wins by 3/4 of a length over Bourbon War, registering a 95 Beyer speed figure, a 118 U.S. time form. Bourbon War second, VEKOMA third, Hidden Scroll fourth. That's your Fountain of Youth for 2019, and we'll recap more of the top preps for the 2019 Kentucky Derby on the Road to Roses edition of the CS Racing Report.
And the leader remains Hidden Scroll. 45-3 for the opening half mile, and Hidden Scroll, like his debut, is paving a quick path, and he leads the way by a length. Global Campaign is now the nearest pursuer second. As they run to the top of the stretch, Hidden Scroll puts away Global Campaign. Now he has to deal with VEKOMA on the inside, Code of Honor, and Code of Honor means business. He's into the clear, and challenging the favorite as they turn for home. Less than a quarter of a mile to go in the Fountain of Youth. Hidden Scroll digs deep, but Code of Honor blows past, and Code of Honor is on to the front. Hidden Scroll trying to hold on to second. Here's Bourbon War unleashing a big run down the center, but Code of Honor is going to hang on to win the Fountain of Youth 3 parts of a length over a flying Bourbon War second. VEKOMA's in a picture for third with Hidden Scroll in 1:43 and 4.